All right. I wanted to have a second take on that. I want to make sure I'm going to try to practice my diction. I had one person get off the topic and tell me about my diction. Apparently, he could not understand what I was saying. I probably talked too much Ebonics for him. I'm not sure if I did use Ebonics, but maybe it's too much popular, too much of the black language. So I'm going to try to talk, quote unquote, what the white nationalists call as white. Although I disagree with it, but I'll concede. Okay. I want to continue on this notion about Egypt being a black civilization. Let's just say that it wasn't a black civilization. There's many other black civilizations in Africa. So let's go on to the second point, that West African civilizations in particular were created by Arabs and Europeans, and that the question that if blacks created Egypt, how come they're not advanced as whites? First of all, let's just try to make this very quick. First of all, civilizations rise and fall. I mean, you guys are history majors, right? A lot of you guys that are talking this are history majors, right? Or read a lot of history. You will realize that civilizations rise and fall. Greece fell. Yeah, it fell. It used to be the quote-unquote #1 civilization in the world. It's not anymore. Okay? That's a white nation. Rome was the most dominant culture or civilization in the world, conquered Europe. Now it's going probably below average in Europe, maybe okay, but it's not seen as the great white nation it was. Even the British are doing good. I mean, they're not doing bad, but back in the day, British dominated everybody. One of the major players in colonialism, and also one of the major players in slavery. Not top dog. Every civilization rises and falls. Now, if we're going to talk about Africa, you're seriously not going to tell me that the conditions in Africa and what Africans went through, every other European nation went through. Okay. Yep, you're right. Blame Whitey. And I'm sorry, Whitey in history is just not that good when it comes to Africa. So we got the favorite words: colonialism, exploitation, and slavery. Added on to white supremacy. Clearly documented. Yes, Africans fight themselves, enslave themselves, but still Europe helped as well. So you had two Africans. Okay, what add Africans in? Africans with tribal wars, European colonization, European exploitation, European slavery. In the last 200 years, last 300 years, constantly. No, China's not the same. No, India's not the same. They have never experienced that at the same time for 300 years. So, for you people to act like Africa's just like everybody else and experienced everything just like everything else, I think you need to read your history books, okay? So, how dare you tell me that they should be advanced if it's not a genetic gene in their programming? No. They got a lot more. They have a window of 500 years, okay? Generations, okay? So if they advance quicker than that, then they're pretty tough people. If they advanced on time, well, they did it as expected. If it takes them a little longer, well, maybe you can use the gene theory. Maybe. Just maybe. If everything in history, it's a level playing field, okay? So, Africans, so all that stuff that happened the last 600 years does not disprove that they had a civilization before you came, or a couple hundred years before you came. Simply doesn't. So that's a dumb question. I mean, I think that a lot of the Eurocentrists are looking, they point at these racist Afrocentrists, which not all Afrocentrists are racist, but they believe that anything that has Afrocentrism is racist. And they point to that, Afrocentrists are bragging about them creating civilization, teaching the white man civilization, and going all across the world, and doing all these type of things. Well, they're only only imitating white Western chauvinism. I mean, they're just reflecting white Western chauvinism, which doesn't value tribal societies, thinks that tribal societies are underneath them, primitive, uncivilized, inferior. Because they don't really study that. Many racist Afrocentrists, they don't study tribes as much. Not all. I mean, well, most. Most don't study it. Okay, some of them do. So they're no different than what you're saying. And this nonsense about, well, the white racist Eurocentrists are more educated. No, they're not. They're no more specialized in the field. Arthur Kemp is not a historical expert. Rustan is not a historical expert. Akobadega is not a historical expert. Okay, so you got people on your side that are just as unexpertised in their analysis. So that's all I gotta say about that. So have a nice day.